meander loops, or you can say they're known as meanders. Remember, guys, we introduced the term meanders when we're introducing the middle course of the river. I told you guys that we've got a middle course in the river. So the middle course of the river, it is actually where the river starts to meander. It starts to bend. Why does it bend? It actually bends because there is a lot of lateral erosion in the middle course. So the river does not flow in a straight path. A river can never flow like this, like a river that is straightforward, like a ruler, and go straight into the sea in that way. No, that cannot happen. The river actually winds and bends. So you are more likely to find a river that is winding and bending in this way. So a river is most likely to flow in a way that looks like a snake. So it makes a snake-like shape because it is winding and bending, winding and bending. So when a river it is bending in this case, or when a river it is turning and bending in this way, we say that the river is meandering. So basically meandering is the term that is used to describe a river that is winding and bending. Okay, a river that is bending. It is not straight. It is actually turning and turning and turning, making it look like a snake shape. So if you look, for example, in this image, this river, it is not straight, guys. This river is actually meandering because you can see that we've got a river here. I'm sure all of you guys can see. We've got a river here. So we've got a river here. This is a river. This is a river. And it is flowing. And as it is flowing, you can see that just from the way I'm chasing it, the river, it is turning and it is bending continuously. It is not just moving in a straight path. It is because it is meandering. We say that it is meandering. So when we're talking about the meander, we're actually talking about this bend that we're having. So when we're talking about this bend, for example, if we look at here, the river is bending here at this point, and I'm circling with red. Here, the river has bended. Even here, the river is bended as well. Okay, so the river is bended. Even here, the river is bended as well. Okay, so those are known as meanders, or you can say that they are known as meander loops, the one that I've written here. So it's meanders, or you can say they're known as meander loops. It is basically when the river is turning and it is bending. It is winding and bending. We use the term winding and bending to just describe what your river is not flowing in a straight path. Rather, your river is turning at some point and it is bending, turning and bending, turning and bending. So meander loops is simply this bend that we're having when a river is bending. We say that it is forming a what? A meander loop. Or you can say that it is forming a meander. So basically, a river winds and turns. It does not move in a straight path. So we are going to talk about those meander loops because those are landforms. When you say landforms, it's just the features or that are formed from the land whenever a river is flowing. So the features that are formed on the land when the river is flowing are known as the landforms, the fluvial landforms. So for example, when the river is turning in this way, we call it the meander loop. All right. So basically the meander loop, we're just talking about where the river is turning and bending, or where the river is meandering. We say that we have got a what? We have got a meander, or you can say we have got a meander loop, any one of those. So the meander loop, how does it actually look like? Let me just redraw it and say that this is your river in the upper course. It is a bit steep and it is kind of straight. But when it gets to the middle course, it starts bending. Why does it bend? What type of erosion causes it to bend, if you guys still remember? What type of erosion causes the river to bend at the middle course? Why doesn't it bend that much on the upper course?
Lateral erosion.
Lateral erosion, right? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's lateral erosion. Lateral erosion means that the river is eroding to the sides. The river, as it is eroding, it is actually going to the sides. It is going sideways. That is why the river is moving sideways. It is turning all over and all over again. It's because of lateral erosion. So the meanders are actually formed due to lateral erosion. When the river is flowing, the moment it reaches the middle course here, when it reaches the middle course, it will start bending. It's more like it is eroding to the sides of the river. So as it is eroding towards the sides of the river, we actually get the fact that your river will start to meander. And this time it is eroding to the side. Okay. And it continues in that way. keeps on eroding, and it keeps on going to the sides. It keeps on eroding, keeps on going to the sides. And as it does that, basically what's happening, the river, we say that it is meandering. So that's why the river will end up winding and bending at certain places. So your river, it is just not going to be water that is flowing in a straight path, but due to lateral erosion, okay, or due to sideways erosion, your water was flowing in a kind of a straight path at the upper course in a steeper gradient. But when it gets to the middle course, the gradient becomes a bit gentle, and we already know that there's a lot of lateral erosion that is dominating in the middle course. So your river will start eroding, going there, sideways, and then it will continue flowing, and it will be continuing to erode and erode sideways. That is why it end up having this shape, which is a kind of bending and bending and bending. So basically these meander loops, they actually formed as a result of lateral erosion. So we can just mention that and say that formed. So meanders, they are formed by lateral erosion. Lateral erosion, or you can say sideways erosion, because now your river is actually eroding to the sides, or it is eroding sideways. So it is formed by lateral erosion, or you can say it is formed by sideways erosion. Okay, so now the features of a meander loop. Let's just zoom into one meander loop and look at the plan view of the meander loop, or the top view. So let's do the plan view of the top view of a meander loop. How does a meander actually look like? So basically, in a meander loop, if we zoom in from this diagram here, we can see that your river was flowing kind of in a straight path, and all of a sudden it starts winding and bending. You can see that the river is now flowing, going in another direction, turning into another direction. It is winding and it is bending, winding and it is bending along its course as it continues to flow and flow and flow. So the river is winding and bending. So now a meander has got two slopes. So the meander has got a cut and undercut slope, as well as a slip-off slope. All right. So let's just explain one by one. What is an undercut slope? What is a slip-off slope? Okay. So when we're talking about the slopes, basically, it is the two sides of the meander loop. So whenever we've got a meander loop like this one, it has got two sides. We have got this inner side here that is known as the what? That is known as the slip-off slope. So this is the slip-off. Let me just use another color so that it doesn't get mixed up with the other text. So here, I'm going to say this is known as a slip-off slope. So it's a slip-off slope. So the slip-off slope, we're basically talking about the side of the river that is in the inside. So the inner side of the river, or the inner side of the river bend. So this side here, this is the inner side of the river bend. It is known as a slip-off slope. Okay. And then if we are looking at the outer side of the river, or when you're looking at the outer part of the river, when you're looking here at the outer part, this other side of the river, it is known as the undercut slope. So this is the undercut slope. All right. So we've got two slopes, or you can say two sides of the river bend, or two sides of the meander. Okay, we're no longer going to call it a river bend anymore, grade 12. We're going to call it a what? A meander. So a meander has got two sides, or two slopes. We have got the inner part, or the inner slope. Okay, we have got the inner side of a meander, or the inner side of a place where the river is bending. This inner part that I'm highlighting with yellow, it is the slip-off slope. Okay, and then the outer part of the bend, meaning that the other side where the river is bending, there is an undercut slope. Even if we try to label it here on this real river, on this realistic river, you guys can see the inner slope and the outer slope, because basically from this river, one thing that you can notice, we have got let's just put a highlighter there. Okay, so from this river, let's just look at this meander. So this is a meander. All of this is a meander. It's a bend. It's a river bend. We can be able to identify the inner slope here. The inner slope, it is this one, the slope that is inside. that is inside a bend here. This is the slip-off slope. That's the slip-off slope. Don't know if my diagram is clear there, but let me just re-highlight. So here, this is the slip-off slope. This one, the one that is found inside. It is the slip-off slope. Slip-off slope. And then the other side of this bend, it is the undercut slope. So if we look at the other side of the bend, let me just give it this color green. This other side of the bend of the river is known as the undercut slope. Is that difficult to see, Gretchen, the slip off in the undercut?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Not at all, right?
No,
So
sir.
this is your slip off then.
No, sir.
So this is your slip off slope. And then on the other side, it is your undercut slope. Undercut slope. And I think all of it is visible. So that's how it works. So basically the slip slope, it is the inner slope. The slip off, it is the inner slope. And then the undercut one, it is the outer slope. It is the one that is found on the outside of the river or on the outside of the bend. We can say on the outer bend. Okay. So now basically we can continue labeling this so that you guys can see that this slip off slope and the undercut slope, they are very easy to identify. If we keep on labeling this in a similar way, we can say that this now, what is it? This slope that I'm highlighting right now with the black arrow, this one, what is it? Is it a slip off or an undercut?
Undercut, sir.
Yes, it is an undercut because it is the outside. It is the outside part where the river is actually turning here. It is the undercut. So you can say now that's your undercut. But the one that is found inside, you can see that it is an inner slope. This one, what is it? That's the slip off. That's kind of obvious. So this one has to be the slip off slope. So it's always going to be like that, and they're gonna keep on alternating and alternating and alternating. So in this diagram, you guys can see that the undercut slope is represented using dotted lines, and then the slip off slope, it is represented using this gray shape here. But basically, we've got a slip off slope and an undercut slope. But now we need to know the characteristic of the slip off slope and the undercut slope all together. Okay. So now the characteristics are as follows. Let's start here at the undercut slope. So basically the undercut slope, it is a concave slope. Remember guys, we have got two shapes. We've got a concave. We also have got a convex. And I trust you guys that you know the difference between those. But basically we say that the shape of the undercut slope, it is concave. So the shape of the undercut slope, it is concave, right? It's concave. And what is happening at the undercut slope? There is erosion. Okay, so we've got erosion, and we call that erosion undercutting. That is why we even give the term undercut slope. So the term undercut slope actually comes from erosion, undercutting. So basically this is where erosion is happening. Okay, this is where the river is eroding basically, because I've already showed you a diagram of this grade 12 to say, if you're having a river that is meandering, it is meandering because of lateral erosion. So basically, if the river, let's just say this is your river, it is moving straight. The moment it starts bending and going in that direction, basically erosion is happening there. Erosion is happening there. Basically, the river, it is actually eroding towards that direction. And you can see that what is actually eroding is the undercut slope. It is the other side, not the slip-off slope. Because the slip-off slope here, it is found inside. It is found at the inner bend, or you can say it is found at the inner part of the meander. So this is the inner part of the meander where you're going to find the slip-off slope. But basically for the river to even be able to bend and go to those miles, it needs to erode. And the erosion is happening at the outer part, or it is happening at this outer bend here, or it's happening at the undercut slope. That is why we say that this slope here is known as an undercut slope, because it actually erodes the river in such a way that it moves sideways. That's lateral erosion. Okay, and that's lateral erosion. As it is moving sideways, it causes the river to be also moving in that same way. And in that way, what will happen now? The undercutting part simply means that there's erosion that is happening. So basically the area on the undercut slope, it is supposed to be what? It is supposed to be a deep area because there's a lot of erosion that is happening. So at the undercut slope, we are expected to find a what? A deep area. Why do we find a deep area? It's because you guys already know that erosion is associated with the removing materials from the ground. So as the river is eroding sideways, it is also removing materials from the ground and it is making the area to be deep. Okay, so basically erosion, it is causing the undercut slope to be deep. So even if you try to put your leg inside the undercut slope, it's going to be very deep and you can possibly sink. But now what happens at the slip of slope is a contrast of what's happening at the undercut slope, is opposite. At the slip of slope, grade 12s, we have got a convex shape. You guys will make sure that you understand the difference between concave and convex in context of this landform. All right. So the slip of slope, remember the inner one, this one that is found inside the inner bend, which is the slip of slope. At the slip of slope, what is actually happening? We have got deposition. What is happening? Deposition. What is being deposited here, grade 12s? The material that is being eroded by the undercut slope, it is deposited at the slip of slope. So basically, remember guys, erosion is all about removing materials from the ground. All right. So when the river is eroding here at the undercut slope, it is removing materials such as stones and load and soil. It is removing the soil. It is washing away everything. But where is it washing away it to? Yeah, basically, where is it go? Where is the washed away material going? It is actually piled up here at the slip of slope. So the slip of slope will have all the deposited material. So the material, it is actually the material that is being eroded on the undercut slope. It is being deposited at the slip of slope. We are going to look at this when we look at the side view, and it will be more clearer what is happening. But basically, the material that is being eroded here on the undercut slope, it is being dumped or it is being deposited in the inner part or here at the slip of slope. So that's what's happening. The deposition is occurring at the slip of slope, and then the area is going to be shallow, of course, because remember guys that when we are depositing material, we're actually making the river to be less deep. So we say that it's going to be shallow. Shallow is just the opposite of deep. But now I want you guys to understand this one very carefully, of erosion and deposition in more realistic terms. That is why we are not only going to look at the plan view, we are not only going to look at how the river looks like, the river bending looks like from the top, but we are going to look at how this river bending looks like at a side view, because most of the things you'll understand them better at a side view. Okay, so in a side view, this is how the meander looks like. So this is the side view of a meander. So this is the side view of a river that is meandering. Okay, so okay, I forgot to edit this, by the way, but it's fine. You guys will pretend for now that your river is here, right? So this is your river bend. Whenever we say that the river is bending, this is how it looks like from the side. So this is your river. Just look carefully on what I've highlighted with the red, grade 12. Don't look at the other lines. Okay, just look carefully at what I've highlighted with red. This is how your river is looking like. You can even dim your eyes so that you can see it perfectly. But basically, this is your river bend. So whenever we are drawing the structure of a meander, for example, here, they are usually going to say draw the cross section. So the side view, you can just say in this case, it is the cross sectional view of a meander. So this is the cross section or the cross sectional view of a meander loop. This is how a meander looks like in a side view. And we have got two slopes also here. We have got a slip of slope and an undercut slope as well. So this side here that looks almost vertical, it is known as the undercut slope. So this is the undercut slope when you are viewing it from the side. So this is the undercut slope when you are viewing it from the side. So if I just look at the river that is bending and I view it from the side, I'm going to see an undercut slope on one side, and I'm going to see a slip of slope on the other side. I'm going to see a slip of slope on the other side. All right. So now what's happening here? The undercut slope, it is actually, remember guys, we said that there's erosion that is happening at the undercut slope. So basically, in other words, it simply means that the undercut slope, it is continuously eroding. It is continuously eroding the soil. Here, these arrows that I'm drawing in blue, basically, it shows that the undercut slope, it continues to remove material. It continues to dig and dig and dig, continues to dig through the soil because there's a lot of soil and rocks here where the river is flowing, right? Like all of this place is supposed to be filled with water, okay? So all of this place here has got water. All of this place has got water. This is your river, kind of like a side view, or you can say it is a cross-sectional view, okay? So all of this place has got water and you are looking at it from the side, all right? You are looking at it from the side. So here, the undercut slope, it keeps on eroding, Rachel. It keeps on eroding and eroding and eroding, okay? Because basically at the undercut slope, the dominant process that is happening there, it is erosion, as I've already explained. So when it is eroding, it simply means that it is actually removing the material, removing the soil from the ground, removing the soil from the ground, continuously removing the soil from the ground here. And as it is removing that soil and the rock from the ground, where is it going, Rachel? It will be deposited here at the slip of slope. So as it is being eroded, all of these material, let's just say maybe this is the soil and rocks. There's a lot of soil and rocks all of this place. It is soil and rocks, soil and rocks, soil and rocks. So the undercut slope, there's a lot of erosion. So it keeps on digging down that material and it actually bumps it here at the slip of slope. So the material is actually damped here at the slip of slope. So you can see now that instead of water, we are now going to have the deposited material. Okay, we are going to start having the deposited material. So all of this place will now be filled with soil and rocks and all of that, all of those deposited material. So you now see that your slip of slope has shifted now because now, there's a lot of soil now here. There's no longer any water because basically the eroded material has been eroded here. Even your slip of slope, it will move, guys. It will also shift as well. Your slip of your undercut slope will also shift because now that all of this soil and rock has been eroded, it simply means that the water is going to fill in all of this region. All of this place will be filled by water now. So all of this place will now be filled by water because water has removed the material, has removed the soil. All of this soil that I had painted here, it has now been removed by the what? By the water, because the water is the one that is doing the erosion basically. And it keeps on doing the same thing, guys. And it keeps on shifting. So do you guys see that here? Basically, the undercut slope and the slip of slope, they keep on shifting each and every time. Because basically the undercut slope, it keeps on eroding again and again and again, Because the undercut slope, it will continue eroding because now your undercut slope has now shifted. It is now here. So your undercut slope has now shifted. If you can try to even highlight it with the red again, the undercut slope has now shifted. It is now here. It is now here. You guys now see where the new undercut slope is here at this point. This one. Are you guys able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically the undercut slope has shifted because basically it has eroded all of the other material. So now the slope is now here. It continues doing the same thing over and over again, grade 12. Continues doing the same thing. So nothing will change from here. The undercut slope will keep on eroding and taking down all the material, So if we've got a lot of material here, such as rocks and stones, let's just say this place, it is filled with rocks, stones, and the soil and all of that, it will be eroded because the undercut slope will keep on undercutting it, removing that material. But where is that material going to be damped? Because since the water is eroding and cutting down everything, the soil and that material will be damped here at the slip of slope. So it will keep on occupying more space here at the slip of slope. So you can see here clearly that the slip of slope is not that deep. For example, if you put your leg here at the slip of slope, let's just say you put your leg here, you're not going to sink because there's a lot of deposited material such as the soil. But if you put your leg here at the undercut slope, you're going to sink. So basically the slip of slope and the undercut slope, they keep on shifting and moving and the water is occupying the space.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
Yeah, as I was saying, guys, that is actually how things happen in the side view. That is how it looks like from the cross section, because you guys might see it from the top view and you don't actually understand how is this eroding, how is this depositing. But basically, it's basically the general erosion that you know, whereby here at the undercut slope, the water keeps on undercutting all of this eroding all of this material, removing it. So the water is covering all of this space, removing the soil and the rocks. And now your slip of slope and the undercut slope, they will continue just shifting, and the water will be occupying all of the space. So your slip of slope and your undercut slope will just continue shifting now and then. And then that's how your meander is like. So basically, this is how your meander looks like in a side view. Does anyone understand, or do you guys have questions on that? This is how a meander actually looks like, and this is how a meander works. We have got erosion at the undercut slope. We have got deposition at the slip of slope. Basically, the material that is being eroded from the undercut slope, it is going to the slip of slope. And then the undercut slope and the slip of slope, they will continue moving and moving all of the time. And then now, in terms of the depth of the area, at the slip of slope, it is shallow. It is not deep, Rachels. It is a shallow area. So the slope here, it is a shallow. The area on the slope is shallow. If you guys step into this place, you are not going to sink it because there's some soil here, this deposited material. So the slip of slope contains deposited material. So you never sink here. Even if you put a baby, they are most likely to stand on top of the soil here and just stand here with no problems, because it is the slip of slope. But on the undercut slope, you cannot really stand here, guys. It is a very steep slope. It is even steep here. So there is erosion. So it is a steep slope here. There's concave slope. It is steep. So even if you try to stand here at the undercut slope, because if you are outside the river, you will not be able to even see the difference. Like the moment you try to stand inside one of these, that's when you're going to sink at the undercut slope. Because if you just step into this place, you just step into this area in the undercut slope, you're definitely going to sink. Are we together, Gretov? So now here we have got the activity that says here, refer to the cartoon. So refer to the cartoon which illustrates activities at a river bend. What did I say the name of a river bend is, Gretol? Whenever I say a river bend, what is the proper name that we use for a river bend? What proper name did I say we use?
Meander.
This is a meander. Exactly. So this is the cartoon. Okay, what is the view that we're having? Are we having a side view, or are we having a top view here of the meander?
A side view.
A side view. Yeah, we also have a top view. Do you see the top view somewhere here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we also have a top view here. So this is the top view of the meandering river. This river as it meanders. Okay. And then we have got a line here that is from A to B. You have to analyze the cartoons. You need to analyze them very carefully. So you know that this is a top view. You already know that this is a top view. And then now this line is coming from point A to point B. If you guys can see it properly, we have a line that is moving from point A to point B. Look carefully. Do you see the line from point A to point B? Exactly. So do you also see point A and point B on the side view? Do you guys see the point A and point B on the side view? Exactly. Okay. So what is A then? Well, what do you see? What can you relate? What is A? What is B? Relate those two diagrams together.
A is the undercutting slope, and B is the slip of slope.
Exactly. Yes. So A is the undercut slope and B is the slip of slope. So when we are making these diagrams, whenever we want to, because they can give you a question and they will say, draw a cross section of from A to point B, and they will just only give you the top view alone. Pretend that is not existing. They just give you a top view alone, and they say, draw the cross section from A to B of the river bend. This is what you are supposed to draw, because you know that A there is representing the what? It is representing the undercut slope. So you must be able to draw a steep slope. Okay, so you must be able to draw a steep slope. So A has to be a steep slope like this. And then B has to be a gentle slope, which is the undercutting one. So this is the side view. So this is A, and then this is B. So you are drawing the cross section from A to B. Very easy, right? So now here, when we started the cartoon, we have got two people. We have got this person here, and we also have got this person here. And then it looks like we've got a river. Let's just do a quick analysis and answer the question. So here is a river. Let's just say this is the river. And then I'm sure this is full of water. All of this is water. We can also see a fish there. And the fish is saying, what an idiot. That is the statement. So this person which is standing on slope B, which you guys said is the slip of slope. So the person standing on the slip of slope, what is he saying? He's saying, come on in, it's not deep. Do you see that? The person that is standing on this gentle slope, on this slope B, which is the slip of slope, he's saying, come on in, it is not deep. And then now the person that is standing on the other side here, which you guys say is the undercut slope, this side here, this undercut slope here, you guys say that this is an undercut, right? You guys say that this is an undercut slope. This person standing here is saying, are you sure? So one person is saying, come on in, it's not that deep. And then this other person is saying, are you sure it's not that deep? And then the fish is saying, what an idiot. And then all of a sudden, it's written here, they did not pay attention in class. Okay, so would you say that the person here, this person here on the slip of slope, this person, let me just call him person A, this person A on the slip of slope, do you think that he is wrong when he say that, come on in, it's not that deep? Is he wrong to say such words?
No,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Wrong.
Why is he wrong, Sam, for saying such words? Come on in, it's not that deep.
It says perception.
Kwi-undercutting slope uzisho yena lo okwekuqala u-B kuye ku-gentle lo one uzotshona yena.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's based on his perception, exactly. Because Vele, the person that is on slope B, Vele, is just feeling which is a shallow place. It's not that deep. So what's the big deal? All right. So Vele, he's not really wrong for his liking, because if you're on top of a river, you don't even see these slopes. These slopes, you can only see them because you did geography. But basically, if you're on top of a river, when you're just looking at it from the top, it looks the same. All right. But here now, it differs. All right. So now, what is the term used to describe a river that winds and bends? The term used to describe a river that winds and bends. What is the proper term to refer to that?
Meander.
Yes, you say it's a meandering, because now we are defining a meandering stream, the river as a whole, but the meander is just the bend, one single bend is a meander. So here we say it is meandering. So the term used to describe a river that is winding and bending, it is meandering. So it is meandering. And then name two dimensions of a river that are visible in the cross profile. So this is a transverse profile, or this is a cross profile. Name two dimensions that you are able to see here.
Slip of slope and undercutting slope.
Dimensions. What does the dimension mean? Dimensions in simple terms, okay. Singatin, dimension is just a size. It is the size that you can see. Okay. We can talk about the length. Length is a dimension. Width is a dimension. Height is a dimension. Okay, all of that. is a dimension. So dimension is all the size that you are able to see. Yeah, so dimensions is all associated with the sides. All right, so in this case, what are you guys able to see? Are you able to see the length of the river? Are you able to see the breadth? Are you able to see the height? Or what are you guys able to see? Yes, Tandaza?
The depth and the width.
Yes, you're able to see the depth and the width, because basically you can be able to see how deep the river is. I told you guys when we did when we introduced the river profile, I told you guys what the cross profile or the transverse profile of a river, it actually does what? It actually shows you the depth of the river, how deep the river is, because you guys can be able to see that here, side B is deep, or side B is not deep, but side A is deep, because you guys were able to say, hi, the person here that is on top of the slip-off slope is not wrong, because his side is not deep, but the other person, his side is deep. You can be able to see that because this is a cross profile. This is a transverse profile. It allows you to see that because you are a viewer from the side. So you are seeing the cross profile. You are able to see the depth, how deep this is. Maybe this is 10 meters deep.
I could say length and height there.
The length, can you see the length from here?
I need to say like the length from the umuntu ome on a slip of slope to the umuntu to that side of undercutting.
Okay. It's not actually known as a length. Okay, to an extent you are right when you say the length, but only if you are, okay, if we go deep into what is length, what is breadth. But this is actually the width of the river, how wide the river is. Okay, so the length describes how long something is, okay? So length is how long, and then width is how wide something is. That's why we say it's wide, width, length, how long, length. So here, what you can see from here, the distance between the person, between these two people is actually the width, how wide the river is, how open the river is. Okay, so the length is actually, when you're talking about the length of the river, you can only see the length of the river from the longitudinal profile of a river. Because remember the longitudinal profile, guys, I showed you that the longitudinal profile, you are able to see the river from the source to the mouth. So you are able to see where the river begins here at the source. You are able to see where the river begins at the source, and then you are able to trace where the river ends, or where the river is entering into the river at the mouth. So if you're able to see where the river is beginning and where it is ending, then it means that you can be able to see how long the river is. So the length of the river, you are measuring it from source to mouth. But this one is a side view. You are actually kind of inside the river and you are looking things from the side. Does that kind of make sense, SM?
Oh yes, thank you, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So it is known as the width. It is known as the width of the river. So we were able to see the depth and the width of a river. So it's known as the width, how wide the river is. So those are the two dimensions that we can see here. It is depth, width, how deep the river is, how wide the river is. Those two, we can be able to see them. And then now name the slope of the river at B. Name the slope of the river at B.
Slope.
Slip off, right?
Slip off.
Exactly.
Yes,
That's a slip off slope. Cool. And then why does the follow-up question, why does the fish think both the boys are idiots? Because now they are saying both the boys. But specifically, look at the question carefully, guys. The question is saying, why does the fish think both the boys are idiots? So basically, in fact, both of them, they are idiots in this context. But why does the fish think in that way? Why does the fish think that both the boys are idiots in whatever it is that they are thinking? Why, if you were to think about this, would you say that the boys are idiots? I'm not sure. But basically, the fish is saying the boys are idiots. Why would the fish think like that?
Okay, so let me try. It's because of they are not realizing the river it's meandering. So this slope on the left hand side and the right hand side, it's not going to be the same.
Yes, that's correct. But now, since here we are looking at the thing, since here we are looking at both the boys, you would have to kind of talk about both the boys. Basically, you just tell us why the first boy is thought to be an idiot by this fish, and why the second boy is also thought to be an idiot by the fish as well. Let's start here with the first boy, the one that is saying, "Come on in, it's not that deep." Why is he an idiot?
I
Just
think
rephrase
because
it.
of
Yeah.
the reason why he's the idiot, it's because of he doesn't realize good. This side it's a slope, and that side it can happen that it's a undercut slope.
Yes, you talk about that. Okay, so let's just say for boy A, let's just say boy A. Boy A is an idiot because he's on a shallow slope. Boy A, you can put it in your own words, by the way, guys. It's not really structured to say which you must apply it in this way. No. So boy A is on a shallow slope. Okay, boy A is on a shallow slope, and hence thinks, okay, this is just my way of answering, by the way. I repeat, you can answer it in your own way, but it must retain the same context to say that the boy there on the shallow slope is actually thinking, okay, so, and hence thinks the other slope is also shallow. So the boy is on a shallow slope and thinks the other slope is also shallow. That is why he's being an idiot here. Because, I mean, why would you think that because it's not deep here, it is also not deep on the other side? I mean, like, why would you even think that? So that's 2 marks for you. You described the idea of one boy. Guys, you need to look at the mark allocation before you proceed and answer. The mark allocation is saying 2 by 2. So this is 2 marks for 2 points. It's like 2 points for 2 marks, I mean. So the first number that appears here is 2. It's telling us that you are supposed to write 2 points, or you're supposed to write 2 distinct things, 2 different things. And then the second point here, or the second number that you find here in the bracket, is telling us how many marks each point will have, making that 4 marks in total. So if you're just going to kind of just combine it and make it become one thing, it becomes a bit harder for the marker to be able to use this criteria, because this criteria is saying 2 by 2, 2 points for 2 marks each. So here we have talked about boy A alone. That's why they say both the boys. So the first point is for the first boy, the second point for the second boy as well. Yeah, and don't worry about those who are going to a physics session. You guys will be starting at 9. Okay, so I just extended the time a bit since we started late. I just want us to at least complete this and try to see. Maybe we can try to steal another session tomorrow. But Tuesday we have a session, Wednesday we also have a session. So I think we'll cover. Okay, so yeah, that's it about boy A. But when you look at boy B, let's just say this is boy B, or the second boy here. He's an idiot because he's even trusting the other person. He's trusting a person on the shallow slope, like even asking, "Are you sure?" He's relying, or you can say boy B relies on boy A to know the depth of this thingy. Okay, you can put it in your own ways, grade 12, but you guys get the idea. What's important is the idea, or we say it is known as the context of this, or the meaning of this whole thing. So here we can say that boy B here, we can just say here our boy B is what? Our boy B at this point is actually he's actually relying on the other boy, because he's asking, "Are you sure?" But he's actually skeptical. He's actually skeptical, yes, but he's even asking the wrong person. Okay, so you can put it in your own words, but you guys get the idea here. So I'm just gonna write how I would have put it. Okay, but it must retain the same meaning to show that you guys understand that both of them, they didn't pay attention in class. Because if boy B had paid attention in class, he would definitely not dare try to even ask, "Are you sure?" to the other person. So here boy B is on, okay, whatever you say, guys, you can say anything. Let me just not write anything right now because nothing is coming to mind. Not a proper way is coming to mind of putting the statement. But basically, you guys get the idea that boy B is actually trusting on boy A. He's even asking, "Are you sure?" Then it means that he's sure. So it doesn't mean, he doesn't know that the slopes can be different. He doesn't even know that you can have a deep side and a shallow side of the river. Okay, because shallow, guys, is just the opposite of deep. Shallow is the opposite of deep. Are we together, grade 12?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about 13.3.5. 18.3.5. In a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, give a detailed explanation to account for the difference in the formation of slope A and slope B. What is the difference in the formation of the undercut slope? What is the difference compared to that one of the slip of slope? So you just explain the events that are happening at the undercut slope. What makes the undercut slope to be steep and deep? Because I already told you guys that the characteristics of the undercut slope, the area on the undercut slope, it is a deep area. Then the area on the slip of slope, it is a shallow area. Okay. And we also discuss other things. The undercut slope, there is a lot of erosion that is happening there. Okay, particularly it's lateral erosion. Lateral erosion is dominant because basically the river, it is eroding sideways. It is eroding sideways. So it's lateral erosion that is dominant. But on the slip of slope, we've got deposition. So those are the answers that you're supposed to mention. Don't try to fetch things from far away, grade 12. What you know is the one that is what actually required. And this is 4 marks. It's for 4 points for 2 marks each. Okay, 4 points for 2 marks each. So here you're gonna write 4 points, but you're gonna write them in a paragraph, guys. I'm not trying to say you should write point format and you'll be like saying point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. No, you write those points in a paragraph. You write at least 4. But since it's 8 lines, guys, you are supposed to continue writing other points that come to your mind. Write them and write them and write them and write them until you finish the whole 8 lines, because the paragraph must be approximately 8 lines. So continue writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing until you reach 8 lines. Even if you put 7 points on that 8 lines, some of those points are going to be correct, some of them are going to be wrong, but you stand a greater chance of getting the entire 8 marks. So please, guys, don't write too many things. Write a point. I told you guys, I already taught you how to write a point. It's simple. You look at the mark allocation. This is 4 points for 2 marks each. So each point must have 2 marks. For a point to have 2 marks, I told you guys that you should write 2 things. You should give a cause as well as an effect. Those 2 things. You give a cause and an effect. You give the cause and the result from that cause in whatever answer that you're going whatever answer that you're gonna do. So basically, we can start answering now. Let's talk about slope A, which is the slope A, which is the undercut. All right. How is the undercut slope formed? Okay. So how is the undercut slope formed? Basically, you already know that at the undercut slope, we're going to have erosion that is happening. So basically, for us to have end up having an undercutting slope, we've got erosion. But this is usually caused by fast flowing water. So when water is flowing fast at the outer bend of the river, okay? So basically, water flows fast at the outer bend here. So it has got a greater velocity, or you can say that the river has got energy on the side or at the outer bend. The river has got energy. The river has got energy, right? So since the river has got energy, basically it's able to erode. So we can say that we've got erosion that will take place. Okay. So first of all here, what are we going to do? We're going to explain that slope A So you can just write slope A. You are allowed to write a slope A and underline it and write your paragraph based on slope A. At slope A, what is happening then? Okay, so at slope A, first of all, we have got water that is moving fast. That's the first thing. So water is flowing fast. Water flows fast there at the outer bend. Don't write in point format, guys. I'm writing in points here to save my space, okay? Water flows fast at the outer bend of the river. When I talk about the outer bend, guys, I've already explained to you that the outer bend here, we are referring to the outer part of the river where the slip of slope will be forming. Let me just go back so that you guys can see it. Okay, so here, this outer bend of the river, this is the outer bend. I'm sure we said that the undercut slope actually forms here at the outer bend or at the outer part of the river. And then at the inner part, we've got a slip of slope. So at the outer bend, water is flowing so fast. And as water is flowing so fast, we already know what will happen there. As water flows fast, there is more erosion that will be promoted because fast flowing water actually causes more erosion. Okay, so you're going to have more erosion there. More lateral erosion, specifically lateral erosion occurs at the outer bend. Okay, so we've got more lateral erosion that is happening at the outer bend. Why are we having more lateral erosion? Because we've already explained that we're having water that is flowing fast at the outer bend there. So we're going to have more lateral erosion there occurring at the outer bend due to the what? Due to the water, to the movement of the water. Okay, so due to the movement of the water. And then now, you continue explaining now, more lateral erosion is occurring at the outer bend. Yeah, you can complete and say that due to this fast flowing water. And then now, basically, when there's more erosion happening there, you already know that your slope is going to be steep. That's one thing. Your slope will be steep and then it's going to be concave shape. That is what's needed now to say now. The slope at the outer bend becomes steep and concave. And you give a reason for that, of course. For the second point, guys, I'm sure you said more lateral erosions occurring at the outer bend. You need to complete this point, okay? More lateral erosion occurs at the outer bend due to this water that's moving fast. I'm sure you already declared in the first sentence, Uti, the water flows fast at the outer bend of the river. So more lateral erosion occurs at the outer bend of the river due to the velocity of the water or due to the speed of the water. So complete point number 2 on your own. I don't have space anymore. All right. And then now the slope that will be there on the slope on the outer bend will now be steep and concave. Due to what? Due to this erosion. So the slope on the outer bend, which is the undercut slope, of course. So the slope on the outer bend, you say now it becomes steep, very steep, all right, and concave shape, steep and concave shaped, okay? Due to what? Due to this lateral erosion that we're having. So since we're having lateral erosion at the outer bend of the river, then now what will happen? The slope that will form at the outer bend will become a steep slope and it will be concave. What's making it so steep is the lateral erosion, because basically erosion makes the slope to be steep. Even at the upper course, we've got more erosion, we've got more downward erosion, and we've got a lot of a steep slope. We have a steep slope there. Okay, so you can also explain the deep part as well. You can also say that we also have, to an extent, since we're having water that is flowing fast at the undercut slope, basically there is also vertical erosion that is happening there, making the slope to be deep as well, or the area in the slope to be very deep. There are many things that you can say. Really, there are many options for you guys, or there are many answers that you can possibly provide. But basically, the idea is here, explain why we end up having an undercut slope. So you must know the characteristics of an undercut slope. It is steep, it is concave shape, it is deep. So you just need to tell us why is it like that? How did that form? It formed at the outer band. Why did the undercut slope form at the outer band? Because there's a lot of water that is moving fast. And then now, this lot of water that is moving fast causes more lateral erosion to occur at the outer band due to this erosion, okay? Or due to this water that is moving fast. And then now that we have got lateral erosion, the slope on the outer band will become steep and it will become concave shaped due to this lateral erosion. You give a cause, you give an effect. Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. You are likely to get the entire 8 marks. But guys, you write this in short points. Write the short points with cause and effect, put a full stop, continue and go to the next point. Don't try to mix the points grade 12 when you're answering geography questions. Don't say water flows fast at the outer bend of the river and there will be more lateral erosion. The word "and" try to avoid using the term "and." Okay, please don't use the word "and" in geography paragraph question. Please never do that. Write it as a separate point. Water flows fast at the outer bend of the river. Full stop. Continue with the other point. There will be more lateral erosion occurring at the outer bend due to the velocity of the water. Full stop. Don't say "and the slope of the outer bend will become steep." No. Don't try to put all the points in one sentence. Make each sentence worth 2 marks. And now the same will happen for slope B. You're just gonna reverse those points, guys, at slope B. Okay, so at the slope B, you're just going to say the opposite of what we said here on the slope A. Okay, because definitely at the slope B, we already know that there's going to be what? There's going to be a shallow area. Like the place is not going to be deep. For example, this person is on a place that is not so deep. It's because he is on the what? He is on the slope that is less steep, a slip of slope. So you just oppose each and every statement here. So here at slope B or at the inner bend, because remember the slip of slope, guys, it is found in the inner bend of the river. The slip of slope, if you look at the plan view, it is found here at the inner bend, inside here at the inner bend of the river. So here at the inner bend of the river, the water moves slowly. Okay, so water moves slowly at the inner bend of the river. That's the first thing. Next, if the water is moving slowly there, we also account the deposition factor to say that the sediments that are being eroded at the undercut slope, or the sediments that are being eroded at slope A, they are actually deposited at slope B. So here you are supposed to mention deposition. So I'm not going to write the complete statement because our time is almost running out here. But basically you explain deposition there. Okay, you're going to write it as a proper sentence with a cause and an effect. But you explain that we have got deposition of sediments that is taking place at slope B. And this deposition of sediments that is taking place at slope B, what is it causing? It is causing the water, obviously, it is causing them, as it is building up, like all of these deposited materials, such as the soil and the rocks, all of this deposited material, it actually piles up here on the slip of slope, causing it to be less deep and causing it to be gentle, all of that. So you're just going to say the opposite of these points. Ngale at the slope A, which is the slip of slope, which is the undercut slope, there is more erosion. But at the slope B, we've got more deposition. And then deposition will cause a what? Will cause a shallow area. You can say that because basically when they are deposited material, it's not going to be a deep area. So it's going to be shallow. It's going to be less deep. Okay. Are we together, grade 12?
Yes.